He said he loved me, but what he really wanted was a puppet he could pull by the strings. The night I found the tracker under my car, my hands shook so badly I thought my heart might stop. That was the moment it hit me. Wasn't in a relationship. I was in a prison he had built around me. He monitored my calls, questioned every friend, and even dictated what color dress I should wear to dinner. At first, I thought it was jealousy, maybe even twisted affection, but deep down I knew he didn't want a partner. He wanted possession, and possession always comes with chains. I played along, smiled through the dinners, nodded through his lectures, but inside I was counting the days, counting down to the moment he'd realize I wasn't his little toy anymore. And when that day came, I promised myself it would be a day he'd never forget. It started slowly, almost so quietly I didn't notice the cage forming around me. At first it was questions. Where are you going? Who are you meeting? Then it was rules. Don't wear that. Don't talk to him. Don't stay out too late. Before long, it became surveillance. He had my phone mirrored, my emails hacked, and my car bugged. He even called my job pretending to be me once, just to check if I was where I said I'd be. I felt like I was losing pieces of myself every single day, shrinking smaller and smaller until I barely recognized the person staring back in the mirror. Friends stopped calling because he scared them off. My family whispered that I'd changed, and inside, I was screaming, but no one could hear me. Every time I tried to stand up for myself, he turned it into a guilt trip, swearing it was all for my safety. Safety? No, it was control. Pure, suffocating control. And I knew if I didn't fight back soon, I'd disappear completely. That's when I decided if he wanted control so badly, I'd let him choke on it. I started acting obedient, smiling, nodding, pretending his grip was working. I let him believe I was broken down and easy to manage, but inside I was planning. Late at night, when he thought I was sleeping, I memorized his passwords from the reflection of his glasses, noting every slip of his careless arrogance. I gathered screenshots, bank statements, the texts he sent to women behind my back while accusing me of cheating. I downloaded recordings of his angry rants, his threats, his manipulations. Piece by piece, I built a quiet arsenal of proof, something strong enough to flip the script. But revenge wasn't just about exposing him, it was about making him feel the exact panic and helplessness he forced on me. So I planted little seeds, small traps he wouldn't notice until it was too late. And I swear, the first time I saw his confident face flicker with doubt, I knew the game had officially shifted. It started small, just enough to rattle him. I moved things around, like his car keys or his appointment notes, making him question his own memory. Then I slipped into his work email and forwarded confidential messages to his boss, messages that showed him bad-mouthing the company. The panic in his eyes when he got called into a sudden meeting was delicious, but I played dumb, like I knew nothing. At home, I started leaving his phone unlocked in places I knew he'd accuse me of touching, except this time I'd already mirrored it onto my laptop. Every lie he typed to other women, every excuse he gave, I was watching, in real time. He thought he was the one pulling strings, but he was dancing in my web. And while he still barked orders at me in front of friends, I smiled, storing the humiliation like fuel. He had no idea I was building toward something bigger, something he wouldn't see coming until it hit him like a freight train. The first crack in his perfect little kingdom came the night I confronted him, not with screams, but with silence. He came home late, smelling like cheap perfume, ready to feed me another excuse. I just sat there at the table, a calm smile on my face, a folder in front of me. Inside were printouts of his emails, screenshots of his texts, and even copies of his secret bank withdrawals. His smirk faded when he realized I wasn't guessing anymore. I knew. He reached for the folder, but I pulled it back slowly, savoring the fear building in his eyes. "You don't run this house anymore," I told him, my voice steady. "I do." For once, he had no words, no orders, no rehearsed speeches to twist things around. In that moment, the balance shifted, and he felt it. I could see it in the way his hands shook. He tried to laugh it off, but the sound was hollow. He didn't know it yet, but the game had changed and I was holding all the cards. I didn't scream. I didn't throw things. I didn't even cry. Instead, I played the one game he never expected: patience. Quietly, I copied every piece of evidence I had into a safe deposit box. I started recording his outbursts, saving every voicemail where he slipped and admitted to too much. Then I began building my own life in the shadows, opening my own bank account, finding freelance work he never knew about, even renting a tiny apartment under a friend's name. Every day he strutted around thinking he still controlled me, but I was slipping further from his grip. When he berated me for overspending, I already had cash tucked away. When he barked at me for wasting time, I was secretly networking for clients. He thought I was trapped, but in reality, I was building the walls of his own Kajand. Soon, I'd lock him inside. The first domino fell on a Tuesday morning. He stormed into the kitchen, waving the bank statement in my face, shouting about a mysterious withdrawal. What he didn't realize was that the money hadn't vanished, it had been carefully rerouted to my private account, one he had no access to. I stayed calm, almost too calm, which only fueled his paranoia. That week, the clients he thought were his suddenly pulled out of deals because I'd already warned them about his shady contracts, slipping them proof of his money. His temper boiled over when he discovered his credit card was declined at a business dinner. He came home red-faced, screaming, but this time I didn't shrink back. I looked him dead in the eye and let silence hang heavy. He didn't know it yet, but I was the one pulling every string, and soon, he'd be choking on the web he spun around me. It all came crashing down one evening at a charity gala, the kind of event he lived for. With cameras flashing and his ego on full display, I had timed everything perfectly. As he stood on stage bragging about his business empire and our perfect marriage, the big screen behind him lit up with slides I had uploaded, screenshots of his controlling texts, evidence of his financial lies, even recordings of his rage-filled outbursts. The crowd gasped, whispers rippled like wildfire, and his face turned the color of ash. He stammered, tried to laugh it off, but the donors pulled their checks back. The board members walked away, and I stood in the back, calm and steady, watching the empire he built on control and fear collapse in front of him. For the first time, he realized he wasn't the one in power anymore. In the days that followed, his downfall was swift and merciless. His phone stopped ringing, investors pulled out, and the same people who once bowed to him now crossed the street to avoid him. I didn't celebrate loudly. I didn't need to. My revenge wasn't in ruining his career or his name. It was in reclaiming myself. I moved into my own apartment, painted the walls bright, and filled it with plants and laughter. For the first time in years, I cooked meals the way I liked, wore clothes that made me feel alive, and walked without fear of someone breathing down my neck. He tried calling once, a pathetic voicemail about forgiveness, but I deleted it without listening twice. My life was mine again, and that was the sweetest revenge of all.